All right, we got everybody, and let's see what time we got. We got 7:01. We're good. This meeting is being recorded. It's a Zoom meeting only. And let me take attendance. Norm,
Here.
Mike Coombs,
Yeah.
Mike DeBay,
Here.
Dick Granel's here, Scotty Graves,
Here.
Karen,
Yeah.
Deb Harris,
Yep.
Eric Miller,
Here.
Paul Murphy.
I'm here.
Okay. We got Peter Courier as a guest. See any other guests? So that's it right now. So first on the agenda is minutes from the November 10th meeting. Do we have any comments, changes?
No.
Nothing?
No.
Okay, no comments. So I'll entertain a motion to accept as written.
So move. Norm voted. Norm's.
Norm,
I'll
okay.
second.
And
I'll
who's-
second.
Who was it?
Paul,
Paul. And all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Unanimous? Let me run down. Norm,
Aye.
Mike Coombs,
Aye.
Mike DeBay,
Aye.
Dick Reynolds, aye. Scotty,
Aye.
Deb,
Aye.
Eric,
Aye.
Paul,
Aye.
affirmed. Okay. So we can move on. Conservation update. Any public comments before I get to that? Since Peter's the only public that we have right now, so no comments. So we'll move on to Concom update. Norm,
Two items to mention from the past two meetings.
yeah,
We had a discussion on E. coli at the November 21st meeting, and it was decided when we were done with the discussion that I will be the representative from the Conservation Commission on the multi-team E. coli that the select board's going to set up.
okay, good,
Okay.
excellent.
Norm, is that working with the health department and Doug Mogul?
Yes, and CRC
Okay,
and LMC.
Great.
thank you.
And select board, I had a note from Doug and he understands, he's the one setting it up. So he'll be reaching out to us to find out what dates, that we can do this.
Okay.
And you
Second-
said two things.
Second item is at the meeting this past Monday, they approved a new dock at 526 Griffin Road. It's an association dock. It'll be 5 foot by 40 foot. And they'll be docking two boats on there. Those two boats are currently on other docks on the lake today, so it's not two new boats.
Hmm.
And that is the Concom update at this point in time.
Okay.
Norm, I have a question for you. It's Mike DeBay. Do you
Yes,
know where 526 is? Is that way down the south end by Ayat's old place?
it's the last piece of property in Massachusetts. It's an association
Yep.
property.
Yep, okay. They
Is
used to
it-
have
is
one
it
there
all
years
in-
ago.
Is it all in Mass or is it Mass/Connecticut? Do you know?
It's all in Mass.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Do we have somebody else join us or
Oh,
somebody leave?
so Karen, can I share the screen for my next one?
hold on. Okay. Should be able to.
Okay, this will be the update from the master plan. Just a few of the questions I'm gonna cover tonight. And each meeting I'll do a few more. I've now completed the entire the slideshow of all 41 questions. The total slides, I believe 116 slides.
Oh,
And I'm currently working on the appendix that'll go with it, and that will be probably some 250 pages.
Wow.
Anyways, question one was, where basically, where are you in the town? And 781 people were the homeowners, 115 were household members, 34 renters, 32 business, and 8 none of the above. Question number 4 was, what is your age? And 65% of all responders were greater than 50 years old, led by the 60 to 69 category, followed by 50-59, followed by 779. And the lowest, as we expected, was 15 under 19 years old. So mainly the older crowd responded.
and they should be volunteering, the little buggers.
Yep. Okay, what is your employment status? Okay. And full-time employees were the highest, as expected, at 475, retired at 290, employed part-time 88, and so on down. Okay, so pretty much as advertised there. Now I'm going to switch. Oh, there was a freehand part of this one too, excuse me, where you could enter anything you wanted, and 16 self-employed, 4 disabled, 4 other, 2 military, 2 retired, 2 semi-retired. And now I'm going to switch to the Congamount one, which we've really covered before, but we asked questions on our success of improving water quality, controlling invasive weeds, dredging, and is the lake overcrowded? And here is the response. The best response from the crowd was dredging, where 55% of the responders believe that it would help improve quality of the lake. Second is overcrowded at 54.5%. And the third one is, as we talked before, our success in controlling invasive weeds, only 40% said we've done that. And as we discussed last time, we have an education thing we need to do with the public. And we talked about using our consultant to help us with that. And then the last one was our success in improving water quality, and which unfortunately came out the lowest, even though there's been remarkable changes over the years. And as we discussed last time, we need to advertise this better on the success that we've had, and I think we've signed up to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the last one is.
Norm, can I just back you up for a second there? If
Yeah.
if you're since you've been really focused on this,
Yeah.
if you can translate that to what we want to add to our website, to the lake management, sub website of the town website,
Yep.
key elements, that would be great, and because I know we've talked about adding photos of the invasive weeds and non-invasive, and some of the water quality stats and things like that, what we're doing, and we can put those stats on there. So since you're kind of looking at it, maybe look at it from a standpoint of what data do we need to satisfy what you found out?
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. Can do that. All right. Again, the top 3 issues facing the town for the next 20 years, and these have all been combined into 2 charts. And as we discussed before, overcrowded was the highest at 23%. Water quality, pollution, policing, weed control, and so on down the line. You've seen all this data before, but I don't think you saw the specific chart.
That's a good one.
And then the last one is just a continuation of that chart, going from septic issues down to the lake smells. There were 3 people that said the lake smells. Okay. And that is pretty much my presentation on this. We're going to be doing the focus groups in January. And they're going to involve a lot of other people that aren't on the committee, which is good.
Norm,
Yes,
when it comes to CRC 5, what is that? What does that mean? I've forgotten.
there were 5 responses that were, people highlighted something to do with CRC.
Okay. Do you remember if they were good or bad?
Most of them were, I believe several of them were unfavorable.
They're probably not members.
Too political, I think, was one of them. And
You're
anyways,
not members, right?
but all those details will be in the appendix
Okay.
that I'm working on. So when that is done, you'll be able to pull this chart up, and this chart will tell you, go to the appendix page numbers to see any of the actual
Details.
details that were put in here.
Excellent.
Thanks, Norm.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yep.
Okay, so that's it for master plan.
Okay. And CRC update.
You guys missed a great party. It was well attended. We had probably 80 people there. The food was decent. The music was great. That's about it. I mean, we're on hiatus right now, so.
And speaking of parties, so I sent it out to everybody.
Yeah,
Don't forget, I did send out the thing about the town gathering next Friday, not this, what's coming.
right.
And it's 5 to 7 p.m. So I emailed that to everybody. Okay. Are you all set with CRC?
Yep.
Okay. So moving along, the next thing is 141 Congamon Road update. You can hopefully everybody has gone through the reading file, and the first thing was, and I put them in chronological order this time, ascending. So the first one was November 17th, and it really was addressing the order of conditions. And so there was a notice of intent to the Conservation Commission, an order of conditions issued that was back in May, I believe, that was filed, June, that was filed. And in there, you have a copy of the order of conditions. There were some few interesting things that kind of address issues that we have raised. On page 29, it's the section 19B as in boy. And it talk about the stormwater runoff. And that's part of what we're addressing. Is currently their catch basins are tied into the town system, and they are not supposed to be. And unfortunately, those catch basins are at the same level, same elevation as the top of the sewer chamber. So if that pump chamber overflows, it's right next to it is a catch basin that basically is connected to Middle Pond. That's where it outfalls. So the issue is if there's a failure, and right now they don't have alarms on it, and the pumps were not working. They did a dye test. They couldn't finish the dye test. You can read through all that because the pumps were not working. So that's another issue, was making sure that the pumps, there's supposed to be 2 for each. There are 2 chambers that require pumps. And there's one chamber had 1 pump in it, only 1. The other one had 2 pumps, but neither were working. One had no power and the other one was broken. So there was no way of getting the effluent from that site out of that site. So that's a building inspection, plumbing inspection, Board of Health, and DPW kind of runs through the whole gamut there. Because DPW is responsible for the sewer once it leaves the property, the pumps to get it off the property. And we don't own those pumps, by the way. Those are privately owned because it's commercial business. So we cannot repair them. They're not our standard E1 pump. So we cannot do anything with those. And anything inside the building or how it gets to those pumps is the responsibility of the plumbing inspector and Board of Health. And they are currently assessing, what to do next. And there's supposed to be another meeting on site and another set of tests run once the pumps are deemed operational. And as you can see, there's a concern in talking with the original owners of that property that there used to be a cesspool for the lower level bathrooms, the ones that are down on the bottom of the building. And we don't have anything when the sewers were connected because they are commercially connected, not by the town. There's no information on was the cesspool totally disconnected, pumped out and filled, because that's crushed and filled is what you're supposed to do. And the same thing with the septic tank that was at the upper level. So we don't have any documentation on that. And they're trying to kind of reverse engineer it by dye tests. So they got to get the pumps running again so they can run the dye test. So and like I said, that's Board of Health / health agent, and the building inspector and the plumbing inspector checking into those. So that's where that stands. All I can say is more to come on it. It's not been resolved.
Yeah, Mike DeVake, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
I read the write-up in there and where Randy talked about it too, where he's waiting for the pumps to be repaired or whatever, so they can finish the dye test. Any idea when that's gonna happen?
No, it hasn't. It has not happened yet. There's been no work on them at all. That I can say, because the building inspector goes in regularly.
Yeah,
We can't,
and we're
Yeah.
still confident that there's been no water usage there, so we don't really think that anything's coming through their toilets and going in that was anything to do with the E. coli or anything, based on what I read.
Yeah, we can say we don't think so. We cannot say we know so that's
Yeah.
fact. Because we don't know where those lower level restrooms are connected.
Yeah,
And with the distance and timing, I think it's unlikely in this case.
yeah,
But, we don't know, and no test was done at the time to determine whether the E. coli came from human beings or other critters.
Yeah,
We're looking at potentially, in the future when we detect E. coli, paying for the test to determine what critter created this stuff.
good point.
I also believe there's no contractors doing any work over there at present.
I think you're right there because we have not seen any activity whatsoever.
No.
Now, but if you go to, there's several pictures in here that were provided to me, 1955 photos. And on page 49 and 50, there's rear views in other words, from the lakeside of where those restrooms are and where the cesspool was, which was right in front of the restrooms. So that would have been less than 25 feet from the water's edge.
49 and,
You know, yeah, go ahead.
you said 49 and 50?
Yes, that's the
Got
it.
page.
9 and 50,
Got
yes.
Wow, that looked different.
Yeah,
Dick, I remember when this was like this, and I saw the email from Tryon. This is back when it was called Ovitz back then.
right.
Called
right.
what? What was it?
Ovitz was the name of the restaurant. Tryon's was the name of the small ice cream and coffee place on the
Because it was
right-hand corner of the screen.
It was Ovid Cody, right?
Yeah, that was his father.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah,
So that stuff, I mean, that's under the deck, obviously, if it's there. And
yes.
who knows what kind of shape anything's in there, but it probably hasn't been used in years.
And Tryon recorded that, recollected that there was after the deck was built, that there was a trap door in the deck. So they would have access to that and it would get pumped out regularly.
Hmm.
And he grew up right there.
Right.
It was the northern end. It was a cottage that's now part of the building.
So that must have been taken from an airplane, I guess. And this is 1950s, right?
Definitely wasn't a drone.
That's for damn sure. So that was an airplane shot. Wow.
Yeah, and it probably was, because what's interesting is I have got Ken Phillips gave me a bunch of really old photos taken from the air of Congamon. They're black and white. They're actually quite good.
Could you scan them and send them around?
I did, and I've got them. I'll make a note, and I've got to find them because I did scan them and I saved them.
Oh, yeah, send those around for
Oh,
sure.
definitely.
So this would have been before the hurricane, the 55 hurricane?
No. Well,
After?
I don't know. I won't
Yeah, I
say.
really can't tell from here.
Well, yeah, I think, well, where Saunders is, right, the building's not there, right? And there was a building there that got wiped out by that hurricane, by the
Oh.
flood.
That's a good point.
Well, Saunders, which I remember, was a little shack that basically was full of water,
Oh.
just like the grass would have been on the lower side of Ovid Steakhouse. That would have been, the basement of Ovid's would have been flooded. No question there.
Yeah.
And Saunders, what he put up there, for what it's worth, that was a portable church that Charlie Saunders had bought somewheres, and they brought it in and put the thing together in a short period of time. With no
After the flood.
steeple, though. No steeple, after the flood.
Right,
Yes.
after the flood.
Yep, after the flood.
Yeah, so I
Wow.
suspect that this picture predates the flood, but
Hmm.
oh yeah, definitely pass those pictures around. That would be great to see.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm just making myself a big note to do that. I'll have to dig them out. Email to all. We'll do
Yeah.
that.
Great.
They were quite good, good quality. A lot of definition in the photos. And I said, for something that's that old, and those damn photos are probably, oh God.
Well, guess what? You know how old they are. This was around 1950. You can do the math.
No, I mean, the ones that Ken provided,
Yeah.
older still.
Oh, older still. Oh,
Yeah. I was amazed at the quality. So anyway, that's what's going on. There's a lot of work to be done by the Board of Health, the plumbing inspector, building inspector, DPW director, all to understand what's going on. And we'll have to wait and see what they find.
I heard a rumor that a lot of the plumbing that was done recently over there was disqualified or not allowed, or it failed, the plumbing inspector side.
Right.
As it was plastic instead of something else.
Yeah,
It's supposed to be cast iron for commercial, and the plumbing inspector / building inspector they've been instructed that all of it that's in there has to come out, start
And
over.
this is after they spent a lot of money on it. And I heard the contractor didn't want to do anything about it.
Yeah. So, yeah, because you can't use plastic in a commercial building.
Uh-huh.
Oh, really? Even for
Yeah,
drain?
that was explained to me. You can't use like ABS or PVC in a
Even
commercial
in,
building.
even for drains?
Yeah, the waste lines all have to be cast iron.
Really?
That's old school stuff too.
Because
Wow.
I mean, they moved away from that because the PVC was actually better reliability. Wow, okay.
Yeah.
So the code hasn't kept up. What a surprise.
Well, apparently the Connecticut code kept up because the guy was from Connecticut.
Ah,
Darn.
Anyway,
Yeah.
any other questions on that?
Oh,
Okay. And let's see, the next, just regarding that, kind of continue on 141 is, I did check with DEP today. Actually, I had emailed them. I finally got a response today that they have not yet issued the Chapter 91 license. It is still in the review process. But one good thing is also in that order of conditions for the notice of intent that was filed for that facility, there is a requirement to remove the docks every winter. And that I cited the paragraph and everything in there. It's actually on page, let's see. Let me just quick find it. I'll tell you. It's one of the last pages in that order of conditions. And the winning number is, so it's on our page number is 37. And it's the last sentence in there says that they've got to remove them every winter. It says ongoing conditions are docks are to be removed by hand every winter. So that's a condition in the order of conditions, and that has been recorded. So that's what has to be followed.
What's the date? that they have
The
to-
date on that document is,
No, the date they have to be out, does it say?
no, it says by winter, and
Yeah.
We
everything's
define that as December 1st, right?
December 1st is how
I
it's,
know we have in the past. I didn't know if it called it out.
yeah,
Good question.
so anyway, and the others have done it. I mean, the PBJ, Louis B's have removed their docks annually before December 1st. And I know that the PBJ, when it came out early, they got them out. I would say it was, God, maybe early November. I think those were out.
I think it was only a couple weeks ago, Dick, because the closing is next week for the new owners of PBJ.
Okay. But
Oh.
but old owners are the ones that removed it.
Who are
Right,
the
they
new
did.
owners?
What's that?
Do you know who the new owners are?
Frank Grillo. He's the same, he says he lives on the North Pond, I believe. He's the same person who bought the VFW hall. You know, the VFW heading towards Louis B's on the left.
Yeah.
Lake Life. So it could work for him because he stores boats out there in the field and everything.
Yeah.
Makes sense for him. I guess he owns a lot of commercial property in town.
Huh. So
Okay.
anyway, that's
Good.
where that, yeah. Somebody had a question?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. So kind of moving along, next item up for bid was an update on the canal and Great Brook. I followed up with a message to NRCS, and Darren Davis is the point there. And so he called me with some good news. They've signed the contract with the consultant And we are actually going to meet, he's hoping to meet in the next week. Meet before the holidays, in other words. So it'll either be this coming week or the week just before the holidays with them, and like a kickoff, so that everybody gets introduced to everybody, and they will be assessing what it will take to fix Canal Brook and Great Brook. So theirs is kind of from, from 5,000 feet elevation, look down and make sure
Yeah.
what kind of activity it'll take. They're not going to do a design. They're going to do the kind of a ballpark number of dollars that they're going to need and the processes that'll be needed to fix it. And those two things will tell them how to write up a spec to go out to actually bid the work, to bid the design work and then ultimately bid the actual construction. And it will be a combination of dredging, snagging, there's bazillions of trees, especially from that ice storm back in 2011. That storm just laid hundreds and hundreds of trees into the brooks. And even since then, we've had enough ice storms that have dropped more trees into the brooks. So that's a snagging process, and accessibility is the toughest part. Especially for Great Brook. It's not quite as difficult for Canal Brook because there's, roads nearby and adjacent to it. But Great Brook is once you get past like Industrial Road where it goes into the transfer station, it becomes kind of tough to access.
So does it look like they have an appetite for actually doing this?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. And I've asked, do we need to go crusade money? And he says, I don't think so. He says, I think we can cover everything with our budget.
Oh,
Do you think you're gonna wanna look at anything, Dick, or you think they're gonna do it all on paper?
No, they're gonna look, that's part of, they'll do with drones, they may do with helicopter too. But they want to assess the length that has to be addressed. That's what their task is to kind of look, okay, we've got to go, my gut feel is 2.5 miles on Canal Brook. That's just a gut feel.
Yeah.
Looking at where it drops off very rapidly.
Yeah,
Right. You got to go where it
With the other,
crosses over,
yeah,
where it crosses over. So that's well into Connecticut. And then
Yes.
Great Brook, you got to go a ways up.
probably about 4 miles.
yeah, most of the water is backed up way up past north of where you go into the transfer station. So it's gonna be
Oh, it
tough to
goes on,
get.
it's backed up. It's even backed up. Feeding Hills Road, we've seen it actually come over the road there.
Well,
Wow,
that's great. If they have an appetite for this, that would be terrific.
So that seems to be moving along. I was very pleased in my discussion with him, and the fact that he wants to get this meeting going. We'll probably meet in town hall. We'll do, if need be, we said we'd do it a combination of Zoom and one-on-one. Whatever these people want to do, but they've actually hired the consultant, which is really good.
That's
well,
great.
that's good, Dick. Dick, I'm interested if it's an open meeting,
Okay, sure.
depending on when it is, obviously, and where, but whatever.
Yep, I will keep you informed. What I'll do is I'll send it out, broadcast an email out to everybody. So if
Yep.
there's those interested, it's going to be an open meeting.
Okay, good.
159 Berkshire, that's pages 79 to 82 in our package. And the planning board and DPW director are reviewing the plans. The plans that were presented by the consultant were pretty scant. I actually have a copy of them. And there's not much meat on the bones, let's put it that way. And both have said, no, go back, you got to go back and you got to do calculations, what the flows look like, where it's coming from, you know, how you're gonna manage it, how, and stage, he's gotta develop a plan that basically provides the construction staging, because they're going to have a local impoundment and some temporary work that has to be done, that dam has to be removed. They have to revegetate. And one of the things that I said, and they absolutely agree with, is no construction whatsoever until the spring. Get back to the growing season, because right now it's pretty stable. You go look at it and there's lots of green that has filled in that whole area. So we got roots in there, and that's good news. It's not just sand. It's sand underneath the roots, but it's not just a beach there.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, what page did you say?
Say again?
What page did you say?
That's on pages 80, let's see, hold on a second. 79, 80, 81, 82. And the specifics are on 81 and 82. And that doesn't have the actual plan. That's the planning board information on it. I've got the actual plan. And like I said, it's very sketchy.
How many
And-
years has this been going on?
Oh, God. Yeah, it's multiple.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 3 or 4 years anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the last thing that I had, because I sent it out, was a question about whether or not we need to do any bathymetric maps, because Solitude does that work, but we do have a good relatively recent bathymetric map for Congamon. In other words,
It's not that good. When I had the student doing all those water measurements,
yeah,
she also she measured at 79 locations around the lakes,
yeah,
and she used the depth sensor too. And when we compared them to the bathymetric maps, quite a few of them were off by quite a bit. And in fact, Ken took that data and used it to actually recalculate the oxygen demand, because he said that the depths that he took off the records, and it looked like the records were off a bit.
wow.
So it might not be bad if we can get that repeated to repeat it.
All right.
And you know, the story, nobody's surprised. The story is mostly it's more shallow.
We should then think about, let's talk a little more about this, because we
Yep.
should think about, I can get a guesstimate from Solitude as to what it would take dollars to do two things. One, map the bottom of the lake, and two, map the depth of the muck in the coves, just the coves.
Yeah.
You know, we know that in the 40 foot, you know, we're not going to touch those.
I suspect that we would, if we're going to eventually do dredging, I suspect we will have to do that anyway in order to do that dredging.
Yeah,
So having that data would
Yeah.
improve the ability to calculate the cost.
Yep.
yeah. Okay, so I should go get
Let's
Solitude
find
to
out.
give us a wag on it.
Yeah.
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 So that we can add that to our budget if it's reasonable. If it's, you know, if it's out of sight, then we'll
I-
wait till we
I-
get state money to do
I
it.
Expect that the muck depth will not be cheap, because they probably have to core for that. But ask them. I suspect
Unless,
maybe they,
unless
you know,
it's
maybe-
do soundings,
maybe
you know?
the sonar is good enough to tell the difference. I don't know. Maybe it can. So it would be worth asking.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah. So I will do that. Okay. Does anybody else have any comments on that? No? All right, so I've got an assignment there. Does anybody have anything else?
Is it true, by the way, I heard Lake Life 101 is also, Jen has sold the business? Is there gonna steakhouse going in there? Looks like, maybe.
It's supposedly up for sale.
I'm sorry?
Supposedly up for sale. Supposedly up for sale. I don't know that it's been sold.
Yeah, we had heard the business only
Because I
was
haven't
sold.
seen anything. I heard that.
It-
Yeah.
it-
Oh, the
it's
business only. Ah,
Yeah, the business only the business.
Meaning what?
Just that, the business.
Well,
Hey,
I,
keep-
Jen still owns the property.
Yeah,
oh, I
she-
see.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah,
nice-
Well,
it's a nice
she doesn't,
location.
the papers by somebody else.
It's a nice location. It just doesn't really, the parking's kind of miserable.
Yeah, there's lack of,
well, that's out there on the street. There has been.
Yeah,
a
we had
little
heard
bit of there's been a little bit of a new equipment that was delivered there, kitchen equipment, but I haven't seen any activity since then. My son's been keeping an eye on it as well.
yeah. If you hear anything, let us know.
Yeah, we'll do.
Okay.
Zanto's supposedly under contract too. Zanto.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're selling the business, not the building.
Yeah, not the plaza.
They're closed.
Santos is closed? Oh,
Yeah.
Well, it says closed for vacation, but who knows?
It's so. All right. Do we have anything else?
Nope.
Entertain a
Yeah,
motion to adjourn.
Merry Christmas to everybody.
Scotty, okay, are you making,
I make a motion.
Scotty,
we,
did you
uh,
make the motion? Okay.
Yes, I make a motion that we end the meeting.
adjourn.
Adjourn.
I'll second.
And a second, somebody.
I will.
Who was I?
Eric.
Who was that?
Eric,
And all in favor,
Aye.
Aye.
say aye.
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 Opposed?
Aye.